Coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast, which former rival gives you the icks more? Is it Moncada or is it Flaherty? Or are you ready to roll out the Cubby carpet today? Join us for Magic Wand Monday, plus Bears versus Cubs. Abracadabra next. What do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast. It is Monday, January 6th. We're ready to talk about some rumors. We're ready to talk Bears versus Cubs. We're ready to talk about former rivals that could be part of those rumors I mentioned. We're just ready to talk Cubs baseball. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Greg Braggs running the ones and twos. He has officially turned down the Bears head coaching job. Big of him.
Because
he still might be the owner of the Brewers, but that's another story and not to be discussed on this podcast.
Not to be discussed.
Look at him. He's staying quiet. He's not saying a single word. He's just got a grin from ear to ear.
Just let me try to fly this plane.
He's over there trying to do the ones and twos.
Just trying to run the ones and twos. I start the day by reminding you, like I do every week, once again, the Chicago Cubs are the best team in town. It's a low bar. It's a low bar, but at 83 wins, this is the best team in town, folks, and it's not even debatable. So now that Bears season is done and Braggs is trying to join on the Cubs podcast, you know, he's trying to weasel his way into our podcast because, you know, even he knows beating the Packers once means not a whole lot. It was enjoyable, though.
It was
enjoyable.
It was the most Kevin from The Office when he says it's just nice to win one.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. On top of the fact that DJ Moore cashed my future bet on him on the very last catch that he made of the season. But yeah, I mean, I think this entire weekend kind of showed that the Cubs are far and away the best setup team for success. I mean, you had a packed United Center on Saturday, literally for Derrick Rose, and that was it. Like, no one came to watch the team.
That was our top shelf
right
takeover.
Right. But, I mean, that place was packed.
Yeah.
Right? And then the Bears, I mean, it was, again, nice to win yesterday, but they got a lot of work to do, man. They got a lot of work to do. I mean, I said this a few weeks ago. The Cubs put us through what I think is among one of the most disappointing seasons last year. And then the Bears said, hold my beer, and made it even worse.
No, they said, hold my beers.
Beers.
Many, many beers.
So now both teams going into 2025 with a lot of questions and a lot of, like, how do we get to that next level? Because last year, 2024, there should have been a jump start. There should have been some sort of success. One of the two teams should have been playing playoff baseball or going to the playoffs in the NFL, in my opinion.
I'm feeling the vibes here in Chicago, guys. I mean, we ended the new year at Wrigley Field.
We did.
Watching the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks lost, but
did they ever?
Cody and I got to meet PCA. And talk to him
I heard about that
for a little bit, and he's a really nice dude. And so that was the vibes that kicked us off into 2025. Then you had the Derrick Rose, ceremony. That was a lot of fun.
Trip down memory lane.
That's right. It was good. Good vibes.
And
then the Bears beat the Packers. So don't fight the vibes. Even the Fighting Illini, they're the best team in the Big Ten. Nobody has a chance to beat them in the Big Ten.
I'm telling you,
I'm just telling you, across the board, the state of Illinois, we're in a good spot right now for 2025. Let's not fight it.
Okay, Captain Positive. Then I have a question for you, Greg, along with Cody. What happens first? The Cubs win a playoff series or the Bears win a playoff game? Cubs win a playoff series or the Bears win a single playoff game.
That's tough because, like, getting in the playoffs, bang, I'd answer it right away.
Yeah.
That's
they're in
this year.
They have a way tougher path to that postseason, though, than the Cubs are in a garbage division.
Right.
But now winning a series in the playoffs isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Getting through that division the Bears are in, also not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lean towards.
I'm gonna phone a friend, and that friend is Cody Delmendo.
I still would say, despite the fact that I'm still, I have the Monday buzz still left over from beating the Packers, I still think the Cubs will win a playoff series before the Bears win a playoff game. Yeah. Mostly because I still think there's a good chance they screw up the coaching thing.
I mean, there's a reason that we feel like the Cubs are the best team in the city, and even though the bar is low, I think we can all agree they're also the best ran organization in the city. I don't think there's and
half our chat can't stand the people that run the Cubs.
Right, I know. Again, the bar is low, but I think if you look at what's going on inside the house at Hallis Hall, do I need to say anything other than Jerry Reinsdorf with the two other teams in town that he owns? The Blackhawks are, I don't know what they are anyway.
Slowly
rebuilding. Meanwhile, the Cubs at least have at least taken gradual steps forward as an organization internally over the last handful of years. They just haven't given us the results that honestly we should be expecting, and we should be holding them at a standard to. So I'm not saying it's perfect here, that's for damn sure. But I also feel like if you forced anyone in a room and forced them to answer that question, I don't know how you don't say the Cubs. So do I think they're more likely to win a playoff series before the Bears win a playoff game? Dude, the Bears have made the playoffs, once in the last 15 years?
Right.
I think the Bears have a higher ceiling if everything goes right.
See what Luke is trying to do to us, Cody? He's trying to divide us.
I know.
I just said it's good vibes start the year, and now he's pitting us
against
each other. Bears
this is what he does.
Cubs.
No, I'm not. I just threw out a simple question. I just posed a question. That's all I did.
Well, did you see me post the video about you bringing up like the sarcastic, bold prediction the Cubs are a third place team or whatever?
That was a legit question.
But like, I don't think people online realized that
I was stoking the fire a little bit.
No, I don't think anyone realized that, and like we got ratioed pretty bad on that.
Yeah,
people yelling at us. I'm just glad I didn't tag either one of us on it.
That's good. Thanks. Put Bragg's name on it next time.
But it was like that's what you did in that video that we posted is a lot of what you do in general, and I understand it. But
I play devil's advocate occasionally. That's all.
But I
do
feel like that. I think with baseball, anything can happen if you get into October. We say that all the time. We've watched it happen. I know the Dodgers and the Yankees were in the World Series this past season, but you can go plenty of years back. No one thought 2 years ago the Rangers were going to be in the World Series, despite the fact they spent a ton of money because they're the Rangers. I think that in baseball, there's definitely more parity in it than any other professional sport. So I think for sure it's a tougher path for the Bears. They got a lot of questions, man.
You know what's funny? If I asked that question a year ago, everybody would have jumped on Bears winning a single playoff game.
Right.
Everybody would have jumped on it.
I agree.
And it wouldn't even have been close.
Why can't you just give
put out a
us
poll, it would have been like 98-2.
Why can't you give us the just make the playoffs versus Cubs winning a
Because
series?
I think just making the playoffs is a possibility. I think this made it a little more difficult. All right, Cubs get to the NLCS, or the Bears take back the North and win the division.
Right. Well,
that's sort of a similar question, but slightly different. Like,
so hear me
getting
out.
to the NLCS is not easy.
Hear me out. It's Black Mondays, so a lot of jobs are opening up. People in the NFL are getting fired. Coaches are getting interviewed. The Bears are looking for an interview. So the Bears just beat the Packers, right?
Yeah.
They were a blocked field goal away from beating them twice, right?
Or losing to them twice.
Calm down. Stay with me here.
I mean, that's just fact. That's just factual.
I have the floor here. So then you also take into account the Lions are about to lose Ben Johnson to the Bears, guerrilla warfare, and Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinators. They're going to lose both their coordinators, right?
Maybe.
Right? And so then all you got left is the Vikings, right? That's all you got to worry. We're chopping the tree down I'm not afraid of the Vikings either. They might lose Brian Flores, and look at how Sam Darnold looked last night.
Time out. All I want to remind you, as a fellow Bears fan, is that remember when we thought the Brewers would be worse when Counsell left?
I do.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Well, how did that work out for us?
I was very mad at
10 games difference.
I was mad at Craig Counsell all year. But I'm going to give him another shot this year. Because it's a new year,
doesn't
Cody.
Always work that way.
2024, not fun.
Well,
2025,
it was just another example that managers don't dictate everything. And as we say all the time,
just like a coordinator might not.
I do think coaching is significantly more important in the NFL than it is in baseball.
I think the Lions have the head coach that can handle that type of loss. If he were to lose both coordinators, I think he'll be able to go out and find the right guys.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to withstand it. So I don't think it'll be as devastating.
I agree.
To the Lions as some people
think
it would be.
We're hoping, but I agree. Dan Campbell is
he's
a force. He's a force. Got respect for him. But I like this. I like this little wave you going here. Bears versus Cubs.
Since we're at it, Magic Wand Monday, I know what the live YouTube chat is going to say, but like you mentioned, it is Black Monday. This is when the coaches get fired. Is there anybody in the Cubs organization that you'd like can today? Because it's Magic Wand Monday. We can make anything happen today. We just wave the magic wand, and it goes ahead and it happens. I mean, I know.
Who are you firing?
Well, Godfather Michael Collada in the live YouTube chat, he's on to firing polls. Usually it's Ricketts is cheap. Sell the team. Fire Jedd. You name it, he goes down the list, right?
Sure.
Who would I remove from the Cubs? That's a tough call.
One person
to make a difference.
You are answering this before me.
Well, the answer is this. It's not who would you remove, it's who would you replace them with. Okay. Like I'm okay with the people that say get the Ricketts family to sell, which obviously it's up to them.
Right.
But who's replacing them as the owner? If it's going back to being someone like the Tribune Company, then no, you don't want that. They're better owners than the Tribune Company.
What if you could get Mark Cuban this time?
What if Mark Cuban could do it? Now, see, I would do that just for the podcast.
Jerry Reinsdorf wouldn't allow it, but
the podcast alone would have more vibes if Mark Cuban were the owner of the Cubs.
Fair.
That I would say. I don't think you can fire an owner. You can't convince an owner to give up the team. Everybody says go ahead and tell the Bears, tell the McCaskies to sell. They have a asset that's worth $8 billion and is making them millions of dollars every year. Why would you sell that asset because people are angry?
Right, but you drew this game up, my friend, and so that means we call the shots.
Well, I just said.
You put the keys in our hands, and the fans are driving the car now. That's how this game is being played.
When in doubt, if you're the Cubs, fire the hitting coach. Because they do it like 13 out of 14.
Cody,
hey, they've had the same hitting coach the last couple years.
Yeah, right.
Cody,
that hasn't worked. That route hasn't worked.
Who you giving to the guillotine? Craig Counsell? Who's it going to be?
No. I mean, if I've learned anything this offseason, it's that perhaps, I'm not saying this is truth or false, perhaps I was too hard on Jedd in the back half of last offseason. But I've learned this offseason a little bit more about where ownership stands on how they're operating. And I've been soft on ownership the last handful of years because they needed to rebuild. And whenever they didn't pay Bryce Harper and everything that happened at the pandemic, biblical losses and all that, sure, I think he deserved a lot of – I thought ownership deserved a lot of criticism then, but they also had a lot of things going wrong internally. Their farm system was terrible. They had a lot of problems. So whenever Jedd decided that they're going to sell everyone in 2021, at the bare minimum, it was like, okay, at least they chose a direction. Well, now you are at a point where you have built it back up, and I'm sorry to do this again, but to not call Juan Soto is very telling of where ownership is on this team, man.
But Cody, the job is the job. If this is how the family is going to run the franchise, We now know what the expectation is for the president and general manager. So
I'm not saying
I don't care what the job, like if you're told this is the job, then you have to find a way to make it work.
I mean, while I'm saying this about ownership, I also think that if Jedd doesn't put this team in position to make playoffs in 25, he's out of here. I don't know who they should be removing right now. I like the coaching staff.
Well, you know what? Credit to you, Cody, for applying the pressure, and that motivated Jedd to, do what he's done so far this offseason and maybe
if that's truth, then I think we have bigger
and look
problems.
At how you're helping starting pitching here as well, the last 30, 40 days. So credit to you.
All right, we'll talk Jack Flaherty in just a second and some of those Cubs rumors. But first, a word from our sponsors. Mr. Braggs.
You got to hit that button, man.
Look at him. He's still thinking Bears. Tick-tock.
There it is.
With Empire Today, you get to shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get your new flooring, so of course they have copycats. But Empire can't be beaten on things like quality, service, and speed. So competitors then go out and advertise low-quality products that Empire just won't even carry. Empire's not going to promise the lowest prices because anybody that's doing that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. They also have this great virtual floor designer. It's sick. All you do is snap a picture, see how the new floors are going to look in your room. Shopping for floors at the old big box store, that can be frustrating. Sure, you can do it, but you might be talking to somebody that was selling toilets and plumbing yesterday or cutting down Christmas trees the week before that. Flooring is all that Empire does. They live and breathe it. They also service their own warranties. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners, are you ready for this? All listeners here at CHGO can receive a $350 discount.
Boom.
All you have to do is use the promo code CHGO. CHGO gets you $350 off. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details.
Me and Braggs went to the Winter Classic thanks to GameTime.
Nice.
GameTime saved me and Braggs a ton of money to go to the Winter Classic. GameTime's saving me money this week when I go to watch Illinois play Penn State in Champaign. GameTime has changed my life, folks. It can change your life too. They have a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Again, we went to Winter Classic, going to Illinois and Penn State this week. You probably could have got a really good deal on the Bulls-Knicks game, Derrick Rose night at the United Center this weekend. The tickets for that game in particular were not exactly cheap, but I bet it still had the best deal compared to other resale sites out there. And it allows you, again, to wait to the last second and get your tickets like I always do when I get off the red line at Addison and right before I walk into the ballpark if I'm going to Wrigley. They really do give you the best deal the longer you wait. That's one of the best things about it that I truly, truly, truly love. So they have curated deals that make it easier to find the best price on great seats. The super deal is the best value for that event. Seat views before you buy, on-time ticket delivery, lowest price guaranteed. You got event cancellation protection, and a lot more. So and what I mean by that GameTime ticket coverage, the tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. The lowest price guarantee or GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. And I forgot to mention the panoramic views. You can just see where you're sitting when you're on the app.
Critical, especially at Wrigley.
Especially at Wrigley with those polls, right? All right, so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. To close out,
what time is it? Game time.
Game time.
Woo.
Oh, sorry. To close out what we were just talking about. I don't really know who you can legitimately, like, as far as coaching or front office, like sure, it's kind of like what you said with ownership. They could have removed Jedd before the offseason, but at the same time, what would have the new person came in? Like, what would they have wanted to go get their own guys too? You know what I mean? Like, I understand why many people wanted Jedd gone before the offseason. Hell, I was very critical of him, and I was ready to move on.
Our grades reflected that.
Our grades absolutely reflected that. However, when you look at it on the other side, it's like you need to see some of these guys that he believes in come through and see if he can get this team in the playoffs in 25. I really don't believe that he will be the guy with the Cubs if they do not make the playoffs in 25. I'm about 95% sure that he won't be if they don't make the playoffs. So the Cubs are not in a position, to me, they weren't in a position that, as far as front office, coaching, all that, I don't think there is anyone worth firing in terms of the way they viewed it. But we're keeping
the seat hot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's anyone's seat that's hot in Major League Baseball with front office executives right now, it's Jedd Hoyer. There's absolutely no doubt that his seat is hot, and that is why I still don't believe that this offseason is over. I know fans are getting antsy. I thought Corey and Brendan talked about it a lot on their Friday edition, and they were pretty adamant that this team isn't done in their opinions, and I don't either. There's absolutely no way that they are done adding to this team. And if they are, don't be mad at me for being wrong about it when we get there. Be mad at Jedd Hoyer and the front office for not using the money, at least the money from the Cody Bellinger, saving that money from Cody Bellinger's contract. So there's too much still to do, and in a position where he needs to put this team in position to be in position to win. There's still too much to do.
Godfather says, you said that last year. That's possible. Sometimes we change our mind and flip and flop. I'm not denying
what
that.
Last year? What did I say?
What you're saying right now, that it wasn't necessarily the right time. By the way.
Well, no, I said last year that 2024, like after they hired Counsell, yeah, they probably should have been more aggressive. Maybe they should have traded some of their prospect capital because
I believe
they needed to put their team in position to win.
Yes.
I don't take any of that criticism away. It's true. But what I'm looking at, what reality is right now, like this is for sure Jedd Hoyer's last chance. But I am also saying, like, if they had fired Jedd and Carter, who's the new guy? I don't necessarily have a name out there that I personally am like, yeah, like what? Go get a guy from the Dodgers or the Rays? Yeah, I don't know if much changes, in my personal opinion, if they changed front office executives with 1 year left on the deal and his vision still yet to play out. Right. As much as like I would be okay with it, don't say that. As much as I personally, if it would have been me and ownership was more reluctant to go over the luxury tax and do all these things, then sure, perhaps. Maybe if you could have got a Dave Dombrowski type, a guy who's going to come in here and be aggressive on your free agent market and all that, then perhaps. I think there's plenty of criticism for Jedd. There's plenty of it, man. But at the same time, I understand why they kept him. I think that's what I'm trying to say, is that I understand. I'm not saying that I necessarily support it, but I also don't know the other scenario. I really don't know the other scenario if they had moved on. So,
hey, we should mention, although it is Black Monday and it's Braggs is accusing me of being negative today, we did get good news today. We said we'd keep an eye on this. Our guy Ryan Herrera has landed a contributing job with just BB_media. So go to Ryan's Twitter page, which is Ryan_A_Herrera, if you're not following him already, which we hope you are, and go ahead and support Ryan. Like, that doesn't mean you're not supporting us. We're going to support him. We hope you support him, and go check it out. Yeah. So congrats to Ryan on
Just Baseball Media.
I saw he wrote his first piece for him.
Yeah, Just Baseball Media is a great baseball website. I've brought them up on here many times. So shout out to Patrick Lyons, who probably played a role into him getting that role.
Has Illinois basketball played Missouri yet?
Yes, and they beat them.
They beat them handedly.
They did.
Now, see, why did you have to go like that?
Well, because me and Ryan.
Why'd you have to kick him?
Oh, me and Ryan have this little rivalry, and that will never end. He knows this.
Nick the Creator says, congrats to Ryan. Glad to see you found something.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get to some of these, I guess you call them rumors. You know, it's just information gets tweeted out, and people connect teams to players. Both names have been mentioned on this podcast before as possibilities. Both former rivals. Let's start with Jack Flaherty, the one-time ace and future of the Cardinals rotation, had nothing but injuries, was really good for the Tigers last year, and then ended up winning a World Series with the Dodgers. He's still one of the best names out there. Obviously, the injuries scare you. I saw The Athletic put out there, they're guessing like 4 years, $92 million. Are you in on that? Right? Just under 20-some million a year, which if you put that into your budget, all right, that's taking at least half of what was created by the Bellinger thing. Is that the boost to the rotation you're talking about? There's no question if he's healthy, that's a major boost to your rotation.
Yeah. Well, let's act as if the Cubs are done pursuing a young, controllable arm on the trade market. Let's say that the rumors that started the offseason with the Mariners and Pablo Lopez with the Twins, which
Luzardo, all that
stuff.
stuff.
For the sake of this exercise, let's just act as if those teams are asking too much from the Cubs for those guys. Again, for the sake of the conversation, right?
Yep.
If that is the case, then Jack Flaherty is a guy that I am interested in, because he's not only is he coming off a really solid season, I think he provides what they need at the top of the rotation. Now, obviously the concern is it was just one really good season after, 4 not great seasons.
Injury riddled.
Yeah.
Seasons.
In 23, he did pitch 144 innings. He also had a 4.99 earned run average and a 4.36 FIP in 23. So even though he pitched a lot of innings in 23, he wasn't exactly great, and he wasn't exactly ace-like.
He's not like 35 either.
No, he's 29.
Yeah.
29 years old, and he's coming off 2 seasons where he's pitched at least 140 innings, right? Again, I'm acting as if they're not going to go ahead and try and make one of these trades for one of these young, controllable starters. It's not a long-term deal. I would prefer a 3-year deal. That's what I would prefer. I said that when we talked about him when the Dodgers were still in the playoffs, whenever he had multiple good starts and we started talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it would be the perfect scenario is a 3-year deal. But if you have to go 4, I'm willing to do it. Is it my favorite option? No, but it's one I'm willing to do. And also, this still doesn't stop you from getting Roki. The ideal scenario is that you get Roki and Jack Flaherty. That, to me, that is the ideal scenario. But, you obviously we have to wait for that decision. But I am here for the conversation of Jack Flaherty if we're acting on as if the Cubs do not want to send prospect capital, Nico Herron, or whoever for a pitcher in Seattle, or Pablo Lopez with the Twins. Those are the guys they've been linked to. So that's where I'm at.
I think the Roki part of it is interesting because I agree adding the 2 would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, you've also added Boyd. Replacing basically like Smiley and maybe Wicks in the rotation, Kyle Hendricks in the rotation.
I personally think Boyd is replacing Kyle Hendricks.
I do too.
Okay.
So let's just see how it all plays out. It would give you more flexibility with guys like Ben Brown. It would give you more flexibility with Assad. It would give you more flexibility with Wicks, however you decide you want to use him, and Cade Horton when he's available. So we're not done with that. I want to ask more about Roki in a second, but first, we're going to go back to our sponsors, and we'll get back to the baseball talk in a second. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has High betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game. We got spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Get ready for the season ahead in just a few months. With quality shades built to last, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably have a style in your favorite team's colors. They do. I had some blue ones that I wore to Wrigley last season a lot.
Could be Illini shades, too.
Yeah, you can get some orange ones, right? Plus, if your shades go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Shady Rays. I love them. Mike Taylor says signing Flaherty is better than trading for Lopez or one of the Mariners starters. It's kind of what we're asking, right?
It depends on what you're sending for one of those guys. So let's just be honest about it, though. If you're trading for one of those young, controllable starters with the Mariners, they're clearly asking for a lot, especially when they're looking and seeing how much Corbin Burns and Max Fried and, hell, even Matthew Boyd, the money that they're getting, those assets and that they have, I don't blame them for hoarding them. But also, like, when you look at it from a Mariners perspective, like, they desperately need some offense. They desperately need it. And so it's just, for them, they're trying to find what makes sense for them. So I am curious to see how the rest of their offseason plays out, because you guys want to sit here and complain that the Cubs haven't done enough. Go look and see what Seattle's done this offseason. And they're supposed to be right there with the Cubs in terms of making the playoffs, considering where they're at. So we haven't heard any rumors with the Cubs and the Mariners in a while, so I'm starting to lean that it's not going to happen. But I am watching to see if they pull that trigger, because to me they need to. If they're not going to spend the money on a bat, then they need to make a trade.
I think it still comes back to Roki. I think the Roki thing is interesting. Now, we know we're getting closer, right? Mm-hmm. If it's the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, wherever it might fall that he makes a decision, I still think you can make the Flaherty move now and wait and see what happens. Roki. Worst case scenario, you have both of them, like we mentioned. You can have Boyd, Roki, Flaherty. Flaherty also at a 4-year deal doesn't hamstring the franchise for a long period of time. I agree 3 would be better, but if it's 4-4, it's what happens after that, right? Like, if you don't get Roki, boy, you're glad you have Flaherty.
Yeah.
If you do get Roki, does that open you up to move your chess pieces around a little bit more still? Teams still looking for a pitcher that didn't get Roki, but have a little money. And can you take, even though you're trying to build up the surplus, can you take one of your guys that you currently have and then move that pitcher and just have Flaherty then replace that guy, Roki take up the other? You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
The chess pieces are created. Now you have what some might call a surplus in starting pitching. I don't know if I'd consider that. I think I'd go with the guys, as many as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But does it allow you to move a Wicks? Does it allow you to move Tyone? Does it allow you to move Boyd that you just signed? It might. So there's always the next move after that you have to be thinking about. I don't think Roki sitting out there for another 10 to 12 days should impact whether or not you sign Jack Flaherty. It just means you might have to do more work after Roki makes his decision.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not going to have to pay Roki anything in 2025. Like, that's the thing. Like,
right, and then it just comes down to a spots. Like, are you saving a spot for Horton when he's ready? Are in your mind, have you decided that Brown is a starter and should be a starter and should be in your rotation this year? Or are you ready to hope and say, if he's healthy, man, he's a weapon in our bullpen?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking.
But, no one does.
Those chess pieces should all be moving around, and I don't think adding Jack Flaherty for $95 million, $92 million should impact you now. I think you should be able to go ahead and do that and still have the pieces to move around afterwards, if need be.
We like to talk about projections on this podcast. And on Fangraphs, in 2025, they project him to throw 170 innings, 25% K rate, 7.6 walk rate, a 3.84 earned run average, a 3.84 FIP, to end up with a 2.6 WAR. Last year is a 3.2 WAR. Struck out. His K per 9 was 10.78. And where is his K rate? He was a 29% K rate last year. So K rate come down a little bit. I still think that he would be a really solid addition who, at the very least, will create more swing and miss in your rotation than a lot of guys that you have. So I don't necessarily disagree with what Mike was saying. I personally would like a younger guy, because at the end of the day, prospects are prospects. But it obviously depends on who you would have to move to get a guy. You know what I mean? So I hear what he's saying. But
also if Flaherty's good or Boyd is good or whatever the options are, I'm just saying, like, if you get Roki, you still have the flexibility to move some of those other guys, or mid-season, maybe you go with a 6-man rotation early in the season because you don't want
injuries,
and Boyd has injury history. Flaherty has injury history.
Yeah.
Steele has some injury history, right? Like, on down the line. So maybe you lessen that by going 6 guys early on, which Council has done before in Milwaukee. And if you have a surplus and Horton is ready or Brown is ready in the middle of the season, and now you've weathered the storm of early season injuries, there's no reason that's not a movable contract. Do you see how desperate teams are for pitching? If Flaherty's pitching well and looks healthy, someone's going to take that deal off your hands after 1 year if you really want him to. It's why I've said the same thing about even Tyone or Paredes or Bellinger. If the guy's good and he's showing he's healthy, you'll be able to still move the guy. If you sign him, it doesn't mean you're stuck with him forever unless they're so hurt they're untradeable.
Sure. Also, he's familiar with the division, so
I think it's worth somebody paying attention to. I don't know if they're really in the mix for him or not, but
again, I'm operating on as if they're not gonna make a trade for some of the names that we've talked about. So as every day passes, we're getting closer to Cubs convention. We're getting closer to pitchers and catchers reporting in February. I'm still pretty confident that this team is not done. I'm still pretty confident in it. And we all know they need to add an arm. We all know this.
Yeah.
So Jed Hoyer is not Roki or bust in it going into a walk year.
Right. If you're asking me, do I want Roki or Flaherty? I want Roki, but they can have both.
Exactly. And they could do the same thing if they made a trade,
if it is
too.
Magic Wand Monday, why not? Let's make it both.
I just think that Roki provides
Magic Wand Monday.
2025. It's a new year in Chicago sports.
Yeah.
Roki provides so much flexibility, financial flexibility for this organization that unfortunately we have to live by, but it's just the fact of the matter. I'm not kidding when I say that if they actually get him, I will shed a tear. It would be an incredible landing by Jed Hoyer.
If the Cubs get Roki, then the question that I asked at the beginning of the show, Cubs win a playoff series, Bears win a playoff game, which one happens first? Even more people would pile on the Cubs side of that.
100%.
Yeah, until
the next Bears coach
and
is.
until the NFL free agency.
When they draft
really,
5 offensive linemen. And
really, the Bears can't win a playoff game until 2026. So 2025 is all yours.
You're right.
Technicalities. I like it.
Listen, we don't deal in facts.
This time,
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Braggs.
Next year, oh man, this city's gonna be buzzing.
You're right.
I hope
buzzing.
For the sake of our happiness, Braggs.
All I said is which happens first.
Right. Yeah.
Which happens first.
Which happens first.
So Cody, through your Roki campaign, and everything you're doing with your efforts, what has been your favorite dish so far of the food you've been eating?
Oh, I just love sushi, man.
Sushi? Have you found did you already love sushi before this campaign?
Yeah, I did.
Or have you found
Really?
it?
But you're like an avocado roll, right?
Yeah, California roll. Like, I'm not big on raw fish.
It's okay. Don't let
sushi is sushi.
Don't let the sushi snobs shame you.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to find their place. Yeah. When it's like beer or cigars, like people are like, I don't like. No, you got to find your way through it to find what you like.
You smoke Swisher Sweets. That's okay. Nobody.
Maybe in high school, I might have been breaking those Swishers open, doing something else with them.
Oh man!
But I'm a big sushi enthusiast as well, so I've been appreciating your efforts.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, the bricklayer's on the sushi now.
I'm actually a handful of days behind, and the next video is going to have so much stuff in it because I have to live up to my expectations, and I'm not living up to them over the last week, thanks to holidays and stuff.
We'll get them.
Speaking of food, Hooters showed up here.
Hooters showed up today.
Hooters is in the
here
house,
now,
and I'm literally about to walk off.
Can we end the show 15 early?
You know what? I'll make a judgment call if I have to.
Listen, I will say this. Well, the good news is we're the first show in the day, so not too many people are here yet.
That's true.
If we can
we get first dibs.
We get Pankow, keep him away from the table. We'll be all right.
Especially Jim.
Since we mentioned sushi, which I don't like at all, my wife loves it. I'm completely out on it. What do you mean, Emma? I don't like it because there's no size portion. I'm forced to take a giant mouthful of raw fish if that's what I'm going to eat.
I don't have to be raw fish.
You know what I'm saying? You have to take the little things, and you can't put a bite of you can't bite the sushi piece in half so you can have a little sample of it. You have to fill your mouth with cucumber and avocado, and if you don't like it, you're like, could I just have a little? Could I take? You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
They're forcing you to take a full bite.
All I know
food.
is that the boats that you can get at the place at the restaurants, they're the best.
Now,
I don't know if we can take sushi advice from a grilled cheese enthusiast.
Well, that's where I was going. Listen, the thing that happened yesterday was, for the second straight week, I made a perfect grilled cheese sandwich, and again, it lit the internet on fire. Emma knows because she's in charge of social media around here.
Yeah.
It lit the internet on fire. I posted my second grilled cheese, looked perfect. The question that came in our Discord, we said we'd address some Discord, questions, mailbag questions. The question that was addressed in there was a big one for grilled cheese. Would you guys ever put mayo on the bread before you grill it for a grilled cheese, or are you strictly a butter on the bread for the grilled cheese? I'm disgusted by the thought of mayonnaise on my bread, but I'm told it makes a smoother grilling platform than butter does. I said, this is my response to that. There's no need for mayo. I've shown you twice in a row that butter on the bread can work perfectly. It's a golden brown piece of toast. There's no like dark on one side, light on the other. It's a perfectly grilled cheese with butter on the bread. So take your mayo and stick it somewhere else. I don't want it on my grilled cheese sandwich. I don't want any taste of mayo on a grilled cheese.
I tend to agree with you on this one too. I'm not a mayo on the grilled cheese guy either. However, someone did tell me using the Laughing Cow wedge, spreading a Laughing Cow wedge on there, which is basically
somebody in the
cheese
Discord
too,
went into like it's got to be a special kind of mayo. I didn't know there were different types of mayo. They're all disgusting.
Cody, you did promise 15 minutes of grilled cheese talk on today's show. I saw you tease it on Twitter. So here it was.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is that
olive oil.
Godfather. Ironically, after I saw your picture last night, I too made a grilled cheese.
Was it perfect?
In my opinion, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I went sharp cheddar cheese,
And then people asked what type of cheese. I didn't have. I did have sharp cheddar. I just went Havarti again, and Havarti was delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious. Craig Brindle in the live YouTube chat says Luke's mouth isn't big enough for a piece of sushi. Shocking. It's big enough for sushi. I don't want a mouthful of sushi.
Oh, gosh. I do love that the Discord came in and actually sent questions related to your grilled cheese. Because I personally asked.
Cody put it out there and said, could you guys send Cubs questions so we don't have to talk about grilled cheese?
For 30 minutes.
Three-quarters of the comments were, you can't use mayo on grilled cheese.
So shout out to the Discord for always being entertaining.
Chef Kevin says, stick to sports, guys. Chef, what do you think? Can mayo be used on a grilled cheese, or do you prefer butter on the bread?
Oh, gosh.
And if you say mayo, then we're not going to allow you to be in the chat anymore.
You're just supposed to say, yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes,
That's
chef.
what I've told my wife to start saying. After I made the second perfect grilled cheese, I'm like, from now on, everything I say, just yes, chef.
I made her breakfast yesterday.
Godfather says, try olive oil, Luke. You won't go back.
All right. I have the avocado oil at home. That's pretty good stuff.
Olive oil on the bread.
Yeah. From Trader Joe's, too. It's good.
All right, so we were talking about former Cubs rivals, and we said Jack Flaherty.
Yes.
We're both kind of in on the move if they can get him for the right price. The other one that we mentioned and have mentioned multiple times and now was mentioned in another platform over the weekend was Yoan Moncada, the former White Sox third baseman who was supposed to be the next George Brett and clearly is not. Would you take him as your backup third baseman?
Well,
would you take him instead of Gage Workman or whoever else might be Miles Masterboni?
Yeah.
Or whoever else you might be saying is the right option at third / backing up second, maybe somewhere else too.
Let's just we probably talked about this a little bit.
We got to pause for a second.
Why?
Chef Kevin says olive oil, butter, or mayo all work.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll listen to the chef. But maybe for the sake of the fact that I've never tried it, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try anything. So
I'm not willing to try the mayo. I would try the olive oil.
I'll try olive oil. Multiple people have now said it. I'll at least try that.
Okay, Yoan Moncada.
Yoan Moncada. We love this show, don't you? This is my thoughts on Yoan Moncada. He's not part of your future anyway. He's not part of your future. So if it's a 1 year, I don't even call it a prove it deal, but if it's a 1 year, he's trying to get a better contract in 2026 to give you a little bit more certainty at third base, I'm open to it. Legitimately, do you think anyone has been better at third base for the Cubs the last 2 years than what Yoan Moncada has done the last 2 years?
I would say it's more the same.
When healthy. Over the last 2 years combined, Yoan Moncada, when healthy, has provided a 101 WRC+, which is an average hitter. Even Christopher Morel couldn't do that.
Here's my bigger problem with Moncada.
I
have no problem with Flaherty whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with White Sox or Cardinals or former rivals, yada, yada, yada. It has to do with all my friends that are White Sox fans and coworkers that are White Sox fans. Yeah. They all say, take him.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing they all said about Madrigal. Nice guy, just didn't work out. I don't know any White Sox. I've actually seen White Sox fans on social media hoping that Moncada ends up with the Cubs. That's how much they dislike him. And the bigger part of it is not this is what he can do at third base. It's more about the makeup of the guy.
Like the person.
The person.
Yeah.
Not, right or wrong, I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of people that believe he didn't try to get better. There's a lot of people that believe he didn't try to play through injuries. There's a lot of people that just don't like the guy in general. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I don't need that when I'm looking for a utility / backup role.
That's fair.
I'm more willing to take that when I was into it 3 years ago when I would have traded him for Ian Happ and Patrick Wisdom because I'm a fool.
Right. Well, I think the concern here with me for him is last season he played a total of 12 games.
Yeah.
12 games. He played 92 the year before that, 104 in 2022. So the last 3 years, he hasn't played, basically.
Right.
Played 144 games in 2021, had a 3.7 Fangraphs WAR in 2021, a 120 WRC+. Obviously, his best year is in 2019, right?
Do you remember having lunch with my buddy Ryan McGuffey?
Yeah.
And Guff was like, listen, he was ready to play. He wanted to play. But the Sox were so done with the guy, they brought him back to sit there and watch it instead of put him in the lineup. It's not like they couldn't have put him in the lineup. It was almost a spite play. So that leaves a bad taste in my mouth that an organization would be so spiteful towards a guy, the way things went down, that they wouldn't even put him in when he's healthy.
Well, does that speak to the toxic environment that's going on the South Side?
It speaks to both, I think, right? Potentially It speaks to what's going on the South Side and also to, wow, how bad does it have to be when you're losing 120 games if you can't get in the lineup?
All I know is that the guy certainly has a higher ceiling than Nick Madrigal ever did, okay? So I think comparing the two is a lot different. When White Sox fans were saying taking Nick Madrigal and then saying the same thing about Yoan Moncada. Yoan Moncada certainly has a higher ceiling than Nick Madrigal ever did. Okay, so whatever that discourse is, whatever, I don't care.
He's had plenty of time to prove it, though.
Sure,
plenty of time.
Well, I think in the role the Cubs are asking him to be potentially, I don't hate it. Do I think there's other options? Yeah, sure, but I don't think it's the worst idea in the world, especially when, like I said, he's gonna be out there trying to get a multi-year contract the year after. If he signs one now and he doesn't play well, his career is over. Sure, yeah.
Over.
Absolutely. I don't disagree.
Right?
But, again, despite how bad it's been the last 2 years, when you combine the numbers the last 2 years, he's still a league average hitter. So you need him to be healthy and just do whatever you got to do to earn yourself a better contract in 26 with another team.
Nick, the creator, is just discovering what's happening here. He says, wait, Luke was tossing out the idea, spoke the rumors into existence, and now he's against it? Yeah. LOL. Exactly. Welcome to the show.
Exactly. Again, I understand the concern here. And honestly, like, if we're in a perfect world, like, yeah, I'd rather the Cubs maybe trade for Alec Boehm or, I keep going back and forth about Alex Bregman just because I don't know how he would measure up at Wrigley Field. But we all know that that's not a serious thing anyway. Like, we talked about it last week. We made a few jokes. We talked about the, if it actually happened, where that would put the team. Sure. But let's just be honest about it. It's probably you said it, that you more likely be outside in your underwear and 10 below than Alex Bregman than Alex Bregman signed with the Cubs. Yes. You said that you would more likely replace Stephen A. Smith than Alex Bregman signing with the Cubs. All right.
I said it was about the same chance.
Right. So all I'm saying is I
didn't say Skip Bayless. I said I didn't say I was replacing Skip Bayless. I said potentially Stephen A. Smith. And those were the odds.
Well, a lot of people are going to be replacing Skip Bayless at this point after what I read yesterday.
I didn't.
But anyway,
allegedly.
But all I'm saying is Moncada, there's reasons for concern. There's reasons for why it makes sense. I think he'd be a nice little, like, you could platoon him with Shaw at third base because he's a switch hitter. So he'll bat left-handed a lot.
Okay.
He also can play a little second base for you too. I still don't know how Nico Hoerner's injury is setting up. Is he better? Is he a better option than who they already have?
Yeah, is he better than Master Boney? Is he better than Workman? Is he better than who are all the other guys? The guy that just got from the
Marlins.
Brujan. Is he better? Right? I don't know.
All I know is that despite all those concerns that you have, he has still had major league success. And all those guys that you just mentioned in this moment, those guys don't have much major league success, if at all. So if we're going off that, I don't hate it. Again, because we know that Matt Shaw is the future, but you need an insurance policy. You need a guy that can at least platoon with him at third for a little bit. And now, hopefully he plays well enough that he gets himself another contract.
I was going to say, if he did sign him and he played well and Shaw came up and also played well, then you could trade him at the trade deadline.
Yeah, or hold on to him. Who cares?
Well,
Why would you trade him if they're both playing well?
Get some value. Then you give Shaw all the playing time.
Sure.
I don't know. I still think if given my choice, a Flaherty move or a Moncada move, I'm way on the side of Flaherty more than I am the side of Moncada.
I think the whole situation with third base there's more conversation about it because at this point we don't really know what the Cubs are thinking. Right. Jedd says that they want to give Matt Shaw the opportunity, but they're not going to just give it to him. Well, if that's the case, and you're going into a lame duck season as the executive, as the president of the Cubs, you cannot go into that situation with the combination of Brujan, Mastroboni, and Gage Workman as your third baseman, my man. I just refuse to believe that you're actually going to do that unless you're going to let Matt Shaw open the season at third base.
They basically said they're going to give him tons of opportunity.
Sure. But I still think that's putting a lot of pressure on a guy. The only reason that I'm somewhat open to it is because you did upgrade the offense, adding Kyle Tucker to the team.
But remove Paredes and Cody Bellinger.
Well, you were already out on Paredes after a week, so
right,
don't give me that.
I was. That's why I said, listen, they could trade him.
And you tell me where Cody Bellinger is going to play on this team if they would have kept him.
Oh, I think both moves were the right move. I do. I understand the Bellinger move. It's like, it's difficult if you're going to, especially if you're trying to eventually bring in young guys. Okay, but we only got like 3 minutes left, so I want to go back to the Discord, which of course is for the diehards, which is why you want to sign up to be a diehard, because you get that great access. Why? So you can comment on things like grilled cheese when it comes up yesterday afternoon. So we've been told now from an actual chef,
olive oil,
that mayo, olive oil, or butter can work on the bread. As also a chef, I will tell you that butter works great for me. Always has, always will. I can go with American cheese. I can go with cheddar cheese. I can go with Havarti cheese. I don't usually like to mix the cheeses in the grilled cheese. Now, I saw Niren start to talk about putting other things in the grilled cheese. Some people like to put tomatoes and onions and avocado, bacon. Are you in on? I'm a simple guy. I'm just here for the cheese and the bread. Tony Gill says throw some brisket in that grilled cheese.
A little protein.
But then is it a brisket sandwich with cheese or is it a grilled cheese? You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
And like at what point does the brisket overtake the cheese?
Right.
The cheese is the main thing in a grilled cheese. Yeah. So I don't want the tomato. Anytime I see that in a restaurant, fancy grilled cheese, no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, my 6-year-old daughter said, I don't like cheese. And I go, but you like pizza? And she goes, not that kind of cheese.
See? How old is that? 6? Yeah. We think a lot alike.
Yeah.
We have
you have the
very
palate,
similar minds.
You have the palate of a 6-year-old.
Minds and palates. We're right on the same wavelength.
To me, it'd still be a grilled cheese if you put bacon on it.
Ham and Swiss. Now, see, I did ham on that first grilled cheese that I showed. There was ham. Ham does not overwhelm me. I'm interested by Tony's. I'm interested by the brisket. I just think if you go too far, all of a sudden you're just having a brisket with cheese.
You guys are going to kill me talking about all this food.
Braggs, you trying to
yeah, I'm trying to walk off this set and eat these wings behind me.
You only got like 1 more minute.
All I know is tomato soup goes perfect with a grilled cheese, like Becky says.
You got to dip it.
Dip it, yeah.
You got to dip it.
Got to dip it.
Got to dip the grilled cheese.
We still have other Discord questions, but maybe we can answer them tomorrow.
We'll save some of them tomorrow because there's one from Brendan Miller I definitely want to get to.
Yeah, there's some good ones here.
The Pitch Doctor jumped in there. Vanilla Chill had a good one. We're going to get to some of the other Discord questions tomorrow. Good place to hang out today also, this afternoon, Discord. But you got to be a diehard to do it. So, we're back tomorrow at 11:30.
Someone asked in the Discord what my favorite spot to get a grilled cheese, and I don't really have one, but Cheesy's on Belmont is awesome.
Cheesy's, my buddy's cousin used to run one of them, but I never got there.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a late night spot, but you know.
But I just I don't want fancy grilled cheese.
I don't either.
Good.
I want it greasy and it's been bad for me. Let's go.
Becky loves grilled cheese and tomato soup. See, there you go.
There you go.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast today. Thanks to Greg Braggs for jumping in and running the 1s and 2s today before he jumps on the Hot Bears podcast. Is that the next one, 1 o'clock?
2 o'clock. It's an adjusted time today.
Because of Black
Monday. The guys are at Hallis Hall talking to all the exit interview players.
Say no more.
You know?
Say no more.
Say no more.
Well, I could say a lot more.
Tune in for Bears. We're going to go have some Hooters over there. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, fly the W.
ILL.
We all silly like the mayor.